What is good, everybody? Welcome to my first ever YouTube video on this YouTube channel. My name is KT. Welcome to KT Trades. I'm gonna be dropping trading recaps, trading videos in general. I'm gonna just start off with trading recaps just to keep track of my journey, keep track of my losses, keep track of my wins. Basically, my journal, but in video form. And if you guys are starting off on your trading journey or experiencing your trading journey, make sure you drop a sub to follow my trading journey as well. See and learn from my mistakes and learn from my W's as well. Today I'm gonna be doing a trade recap. It is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. I'm gonna be going over the 3 trades that I ended up taking. I took 1 break even and 2 W's. 1 W was kind of iffy, 1 W was an A+ setup. So let's go over that real quick right here. So coming into the flipping day with that brethren, let me remove all of this. Coming into the day, I was leaning bullish because why? If you guys trade ICT, if you guys trade in general, you know that a new week opening gap is a really high probability draw on liquidity until it is filled fully. So if we come here, and no, not the game box. If we come here and we mark out this new week opening gap, you guys can see how we previously did try and fill it, but since we didn't fill it fully, I am still going to be targeting that new week opening gap. So when market opened, what did we end up doing? We ended up, let me go on the 5-minute real quick. We ended up just pushing higher and higher with no retracement. So as long as this high was intact, I was still looking to take longs. And once we ended up opening this 5-minute gap here, I did want to see a tap into this 5-minute gap and take a long to that high and potentially to the whole fill of the gap. But sometimes the market just moves out, wants to move. Sometimes it doesn't respect ICT concepts. Sometimes it doesn't retrace. So what did we end up doing? We just ended up coming up higher and not even tapping into that 5-minute. At this point, we did have an SMT with this high right here inside of this new day opening gap. So what was I looking for? I was looking for shorts to this 5-minute gap. We ended up opening this 3-minute gap here, and I wanted to see this close with displacement. Now that is actually one of the most important things that I have learned over my trading journey, that just any inverse fair value gap close is not good enough. You can't just, if you have to zoom in to see the inverse, it is not a proper inverse. It has to inverse with displacement. So that's what I was looking for. This 3-minute gap did end up closing with displacement. It almost ran without us, but it ended up closing with displacement. And then I ended up setting a limit order here because it was way too high for my risk to reward. I ended up having my stop at CE of this gap. Something I did forget to mention, 1 second, let me just do this real quick. So what we ended up doing here is we ended up having an SMT with this high, and we also ended up respecting CE of the new week opening gap. As you guys can see here, we tried closing above it multiple times. First candle, second candle, third candle, fourth candle, all wicks, no full body closures. So that was also a good sign. Now we come in, yeah, I had it here on the CE, targeting this 5-minute gap right here. Had my limit set. What ended up happening was ended up getting filled right there, and then we just waited to see the trade play out. I had my stops set to break even on this low right here. And also news was coming out at 10 a.m. It was PMI. So ended up tapping, filling me in right here, tapping my limit. And at this point, it was 4 minutes before news, which is also something to journal. Next time, I will definitely probably not ever do that again, because I was just in an uncomfortable position and I don't want to ever trade before news when it's that close like that. So what ended up happening was we ended up coming all the way down here. News ended up coming out. Thankfully, it went my way. Boom, set my stops to break even. Literally 8 points away from my take profit. You guys know how Nasdaq is. Boom, taps my break even. We're out of that trade. Now, what ends up happening is, what I realized also as well was that break even point was a 15-minute gap, which is also something for me to journal. I was too zoomed in into the 1 minute. I was just focusing on my TP getting hit. I wasn't focusing on what was actually going on the market. So I was just waiting for that 5 minute to get hit without realizing that we had opened up a 15-minute previously. So we tap into that 15-minute. Then what do I see? I see this 2-minute inverse fair value gap. My bad. 1 second on the anaconda. So I see this 2-minute inverse fair value gap. We tap into the 15-minute below, and we end up inversing this 2-minute gap. I place a limit order right here on the retest of that 2-minute gap with my stops on the body closures and targeting this full closure, this full fill of the gap. So I ended up getting tapped in here. Break even was this high. So my stops were at break even at this point. And now, since I needed to pass this account, I need to follow the consistency rule. The profit target is 6%, which is $3,000. And the consistency rule is 50%, so I can only make $1,500 on a day. I risked around $400 or $300 here. It was around 3 or 4 micros. So I had my stops at break even here, and then I realized, oh no, I need 1,500 to pass. So I ended up taking away my take profit, and I was just going to trail my stop as it goes. So what ended up happening was stops are at break even at this point. ES had filled the gap fully at this point. So that's why I had my stops at break even as well. Almost got tapped at break even, as you guys can see right here, literally a tick away. And we ended up filling this gap fully. And at this point, I had trailed my stop to this low right here. What ended up happening was I ended up getting stopped out on this low. So I actually caught a horrible risk to reward. Like, I don't even like trading 1-to-1s. So for me to catch a 1 to 0.8 is absolutely horrible. Next time I'll probably just take full TP at this high. I could have just banged a 1-to-7. But now here is where the A plus setup comes in. So also something definitely to journal this trade. Here's where the A plus setup comes in. We ended up opening up this 5-minute gap down here. Wait, let me just skip. Let me just go backwards because I did skip ahead too much. So we ended up opening this 5-minute gap here. Ended up filling this gap fully, opening this 5-minute gap down here, and then we had an SMT with this high right here. ES ended up taking out that high while Nasdaq didn't. And we had a 30-second fair value gap short. I don't have the 30-second short here, but I do have it on Trade-Of-8. So I ended up taking the 30-second fair value gap short. I think it was around right here. Stops at the high of this, at the body closure of this candle, targeting this 5-minute gap. Break even at this point right here. And ended up banging for a 1 to 2.5 RR. We also had a 1-minute CISD here, which was perfect. As you can see, we literally tapped it, respected it, no body closure above it, and then we just straight on dumped and banged TP. Now, why this trade was good, we had filled out the new week opening gap fully, so there was no reason for us to go any higher. We also had an SMT with the internal high, a 30-second inverse fair value gap to the downside, as well as a 1-minute CISD right here. So definitely a day to journal, and way better than expected for a Monday, especially with all the news that did come out. Moving forward, I will definitely probably only be taking 2 trades a day, as well as only taking A plus setups, because that second one was kind of iffy. That first one was A plus. That last one was A plus. So 1 break even, 2 W's, 1 iffy W, 1 A plus W. That second W was not really a W in my books, but it was a W on Trade-A, I guess. I am also up $657 on the day. It's still an eval though, so hopefully I do pass this evaluation and end up getting a payout from it. And I will be uploading every trade recap that I do, every trade that I take on this YouTube channel. So make sure you sub, hit a like on this video, follow my journey if you're still new into trading, or if you're an experienced trader, you can still learn from my mistakes and learn from my W's, as well as make sure you follow your boy so you can follow his journey and say that you knew me before I was profitable in that, manifestation and that manifestation. But yeah, anyways, today, Monday, 3 trades, 1 break even, 2 W's. Hopefully, which is a great start to the YouTube channel, great start to the month, starting off on a W. Hopefully we can keep going strong. Make sure you sub and turn on noties for the next video, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.